Morning, guys. It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and today we're going to be talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves offseason guide after it being eliminated in the Western Conference Finals last night. It's going to be a weird offseason for this Timberwolves team. They've got a lot of decisions to make. They've got Nickeil Alexander-Walker heading into unrestricted free agency. They've got Naz Reid probably heading to unrestricted free agency. He's got a player option that is a $13.9 million player option. That is I would say a guarantee that he declines that player option. He's definitely, I don't know how much he's going to get in free agency. I don't know if this series hurts what he's going to get in free agency. I think you look at the seasons he's had in the last couple of years, and I think he's going to get paid good money. I don't know how much, but definitely way more than a $13.9 player option. Julius Randle might head into free agency. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know with Randle. I mean, he's 30 years old. He's got this $29.2 million player option. If you're Randall, I don't know if you exercise that option. Can you get more than that in free agency? Possibly. You never know with players around these days. I've got a feeling Randall can get more than $29.2 million. So I'm gonna guess that Randall probably declines his player option as well. I think if Randall was a little bit older, you'd probably be a wise decision to exercise that option. But still being 30 years old, the season he had this year, he was good most of this postseason. I would say most likely he declines that player option, tries to get a better deal. I think Randall re-signs with the Timberwolves, but I don't think that he opts into that player option. We'll see though. But here's the thing that a lot of people are speculating about, and I think it's true. Brian Windhorst has predicted it, is that Minnesota's not going to be able to retain all of Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid, and Julius Randle. I honestly, in my opinion, I think they're only going to be able to bring back 2 or 3 of the guys. And I think you want to bring back Randle. I think him and Anthony Edwards have good chemistry. Randle is one of them. And then you've got to decide between Naz Reid and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Who do you want back? I'm going to ask this in the comment section. I want you guys to answer this in the comment section. Who would you rather see the Timberwolves re-sign? Alexander Walker or Naz Reid? I think both are great players. Both are very young. Naz Reid is actually younger than Alexander Walker. He's almost a year younger. I think Naz Reid brings much more of a energy off the bench. And honestly, just in my opinion, I think it's easier to replace Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And the reason I bring this up because the 2 youngsters, and these 2 youngsters, Terrence Shannon Jr. And Rob Dillingham, deserve a shot next year. And I think that needs to be a big part of the offseason guide for this Timberwolves team. You look at how good Terrence Shannon Jr. was in this series against Oklahoma City in games 3 through 5 in this series. Game 3, their blowout win, he had 15 points and was absolutely killer in 13 minutes. In game 4, he had 8 minutes and had 9 points, shooting 1 for 2 from 3, 2 for 3 from the floor, and 4 for 4 at the free throw line. And in the last game, he had 11 points with 1 steal and 1 rebound, shooting 1 for 3 from 3 and almost 50% from the floor. Terrence Shannon is a guy that deserves more minutes. Rob Dillingham, with the talent he has offensively and shooting the basketball, deserves more minutes. You look at what they traded some future picks for this guy to in that Spurs trade in order to get him from the Spurs. You've got to give him more opportunities this year, in my opinion. Only got 10 minutes per game this year, averaged 5 points per game, 2 assists per game, 1 rebound per game. From 3 was 34%, but only 1.5 attempts per game. He is a guy that needs more minutes next season. So that's why I say it's easier to replace, I think, Alexander Walker's void by adding in, by giving your youngsters, rookies that will be in their second years, Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr., more opportunities next season. Naz Reid, that is harder to replace if you're the Minnesota Timberwolves, to replace that backup center who provides great scoring and rebounding off the bench. That is harder to replace, I believe, especially when you've got Dillingham and Shannon Jr., ready to get more minutes next season in their second years. Now, another thing I will say that Minnesota should do this offseason, they've got Luka Garza on a team option. And I think if you're Minnesota, you should exercise that team option. Luka Garza is a guy that I would exercise that team option because if this happens. Team options, player options, and team options are decided on before free agency. So you might not know what Naz Reid's decision is. So if I were the Timberwolves, I exercise that team option for Luka Garza. He's a guy that could be a good backup center for Minnesota. If you see Naz Reid leave, and then Garza could maybe be that new backup center. But you don't want to decline that Garza option and then Naz Reid leaves. But he's a good third string center even if Naz Reid resigns. And then another thing I would do if you're Minnesota, I re-sign Joe Ingles to a cheaper deal. Joe Ingles was making some heavy money this year, but he's 37 years old now. He's good. He's good. He's a good depth piece. That's one thing. He's a good 3-point shooter. And another thing with Joe Ingles, he's a great veteran presence around the locker room. And I think he's a great part of their success when it comes to the great energy around this team. I look at Joe Ingles and Mike Conley, the vet guys. They're big leaders for this team, and you want those guys to be around next year. So like I said re-sign Randall, re-sign Naz Reid, exercise Luka Garza's team option, let Alexander walk, but because you want to re-sign Naz Reid and Julius Randle, give Terrence Shannon and Rob Dillingham more minutes next year. And also, I would let, you've got Bones Highland. He's a free agent. He barely played. Let him leave. Let him walk. Let Alexander walk. Josh Minot, he's a 23-year-old solid young player. I think, the club option, his team option is only $1.7 million. I think you probably look to exercise that. Gives you extra depth. I don't know about trades for this Minnesota team. I'm definitely not ruling out that they couldn't be involved in trades this offseason, but this is a good team, and they could become better as long as Anthony Edwards, and if Anthony Edwards improves, and maybe guys like Dillingham and Terrence Shannon take bigger jumps in their second years. Maybe if Julius Randle can be better for an entire playoff. Look, he was great in the entire Lakers series. He was great in the entire Warriors series, but that was not the case in this Thunder series. I think there are young guys on this team that could take bigger jumps. I don't think they make any trades, to be honest. I think the goal for this team in the offseason for this team has to be free agency and re-signing their core players and Randall, Reed, and maybe tried it with Alexander Walker. I think it's just very unlikely they can bring all three of those guys back. But it will be interesting to see what happens with this Timberwolves team in the offseason. You guys give me your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out.